So continuing on about fractions. So here's a question for you to try, following on from the example that I did previously. So pause the video, have a go, and then come back for the answer. Okay, so using the calculator, find the percentage. So go into calculate mode, 30, and then remember the catalog button to find the percentage button. So catalog, down to probability, and then percentages first. So 30%, and remember the of in the question means times. So times by 105 equals 63/2. Change that into a decimal. So this one would be 31.5. And then we do the same for the other one, 32 catalogue, probability, percent, times by 98. And that's 31.36. Remember the working, so 30% times by 105 and 32% times by 98. So we're looking for which is greater. So if we're looking at the decimal places, we've got the first column is the 10th after decimal point. That one's got 3 and this one's got 5, so this one's a bigger number. So which is greater? 30% of 105 is greater. And that is a 3-mark question. Okay, moving on. So the only difference now with percentage questions is that you'll just get little added bits to it. So the first ones we're going to look at is, for example, when you got bonuses. So a bonus means when you get an increase in your pay. So you get a fixed amount of pay, and then you may, due to your performance or due to sales, you may get an extra bonus. So it says Richard gets a bonus of 30% of 130 and Connor gets a bonus of 40%. Work out the difference in the bonus Richard gets and the bonus Connor gets. Now this could be on calculator. If it's 30%, it's likely to be non-calc. But let's treat it as if we're using it on a calculator because the percentage and the operations that we do are identical. So I need to find out what 30% of 130. Remember, of means times. So 30% times 130. So on my calculator, I'm going to do 30, catalogue, probability, percent, times 130, and that's 39. And it says Connor gets a bonus of 40. Work out the difference. So 40, take away 39 equals £1. Done. So second one, similar type of question, just wordy. Can you have a go? And then when you want the answer, come back to the video. Okay, this is just an example of where percentage question or percentage skill may be embedded in the question. So it says it's adults and children. There are 48 adults and 25% of the people at the cinema are children. Work out the number of people at the cinema. So there's adults and children. There are 48 adults, 25% of the people at the cinema are children. Now, if we use this as the number of children and the number of adults, and underneath I'm going to put a percentage. So we know there's 25% that are children. We just don't know what that number is. And we know the remaining amount out of 100% are adults because there's only adults and children. And 100 take away 25 is 75%. So we know that 75% is 48. Now, what could we do? We need to work out what 25% is. So if we know 75% equals 48, we could work out what 25% is. How do we do that? We can divide that by 3. So 75 divided by 3 is 25, and 48 divided by 3 is 16. So that means 25% is 16, and therefore that's what the children are. But it asks you what's the total number of people, so we just need to do 48 plus 16, and we get 64. So on the answer line, I'm going to put 64. Okay, let's move on. So the last few questions are to do with a certain increase. Now, we're going to start off with a single amount of increase, so that's this one. And then we're going to do ones with deposits, and then we'll start looking at interest. So David is paid £34,000 per year. He's going to get a 3% increase in the amount of money he paid. Work out how much money David will be paid per year after the increase. So he's got £34,000, and he's going to get a 3% increase. That means we need to find 3% and add it on. So you've got two choices here. Either find what 3% is, and that's 3% of 34,000. That's how much he gets extra. So if we do it that way, of means times. So we're doing 3% times 34,000. So 3 catalogue probability percent times 34,000. And that's 1,020. Now that's only the increase. So you need to add on 34,000 because it asks you how much money will David be paid per year after the increase. So add on 34,000 and we get 35,020. Now, for those of you who have used multipliers, you may find this method slightly easier. So if it was on a calculator paper, we know that the amount he started with, so in other words, 34,000, is 100%. If I add on 3%, I get 103%. And this goes back to the very first question we did on the previous video, where we had to find 252%. So we can find 103%, 103 catalogue probability percent, times by, and the amount was 34,000. And you get the answer 35,020. So either way, you get the same answer. There's a third way using multipliers. Remember, we could say 103% is the same as 1.03. All we're doing is dividing by 100, and that's the multiplier. So if I multiply by 1.03, I would get a 3% increase. So if I do 34,000 times 1.03, I'll just show you to say you get the same answer. 34,000 times 1.03. And you get the same answer, 35,020. Now the next question, I would like you to have a quick go, see how far you can get, and then I'll put the answer on after this. Okay, the answer to this one. So the percentage number that sticks out is 15%. Abby buys a sofa, she pays a deposit of 15%. So a deposit means you put money down. So it's like you're going to secure it by paying a small amount of the total cost. So I need to find out what 15% of, which was times 540. So I know the numbers are quite easy and you could do this without a calculator, but I'm just showing you the methodology of how you would do this. So 15 catalogue probability percent times by 540, 81. So that means the deposit that they put down is £81. But the sofa costs 540. So I need to do 540, take away 81. And that's 459. And then it says she pays deposit and the rest of the money is in monthly payments of £17. So 459 divided by £17 a month. That will tell you how many months it will take. So I'm going to do 459 divided by 17 and I get 27 months.